Hey everybody, welcome to the Growthentic podcast. I'm Shane Chalupa here with co-host Sam Lee.
All right, folks, episode 9. As we do with all episodes, we share some personal and professional updates. I think two topics that will be very interesting to you is one, systems and processes. It's not too late to implement new ways to automate things that take up a lot of your mental calories. And then two is the AI revolution. I mean, we kind of talk about AI on every episode now, but specifically we talk about, especially for those who might be overwhelmed, a little fearful, how to really stay relevant and up to date, and really harness the power of it and not let it take control of you. So definitely stay tuned for this one. I think we're really passionate about this, and certainly we'll be talking more in depth about these types of topics around AI. And of course, if you can, give us a follow. Follow us on all the social media platforms. We'd love to hear from you all, and we hope you enjoy this one. Hello, hello,
Right, here we go.
and we're
Best
back.
part. Yeah, we're back. Best part of the 2 week series, best part of this week. Always enjoy getting on and giving a little bit of a download, upload with you, Sam, and with everybody who's out there listening.
It's been a fun day today to do a bit of a retrospect um, on the personal side of things, on the business side of things, and I can't wait to share um, all that's been going on. Sometimes I find that 1 hour is not enough, but we'll try to make do because we have other things that we want to talk outside of just what we've been working on, but certainly things that I think our audience can relate with. But before we get into any of that stuff, man, how have you been? How has the last couple of weeks been since the last time we chatted?
Good, yeah. Hard to believe it's been 2 weeks. It's felt like, in some ways, an eternity, in other ways, a flash. And life is kind of like that, especially after having kids. But things are good. On the personal front, we're making headway. Last time mentioned everything going on with Mary, and really, eventually, we'll talk more about that once we know more. But really, right now, we're just in kind of the pattern of going and getting more. She's in the pattern of going and getting more tests. So, series of blood work tests next week to try and get this narrowed down. The positive news so far is that the oncologist, humologist was not like wildly concerned about anything right now. And the initial test that kind of flagged up is one that can commonly flag up for a variety of reasons. So now it's just about more testing, trying to narrow it down to see what's going on. But overall, I mean, health wise, we're both feeling good. We're in good spirits mentally, and so we're pretty positive that will be a manageable outcome with whatever it might be, whether it be on the kind of humology side of things or the rheumatology side of things, which would be more immune system. So more to come, and look forward to kind of looking back at that, going through the process, and then being able to share with like what we did and what the outcomes were, so that people who are maybe similar boat will be able to benefit from some of the steps that we took. And one little hint for later on is starting to use AI, like a chat GBT, to start being a patient advocate for us and for general knowledge, and just trying to understand more and more of what's going on. And interestingly enough, when this first started, um, Mary had had this rash on her skin for like about a year, and then her massage therapist said like, "Hey, this is odd. Like it's showing up around your kind of lymph node areas." So that kind of elevated it. And then one of the first things that she did was took a picture and put it into ChatGPT and had it kind of evaluate it. And interestingly enough, the top result that it kicked back is what the dermatologist is thinking about that it might be. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out, and if that the power of image and having AI can actually short circuit that this entire process. Not always, but at least give you early indications. So yeah, I think it for early screening and things like that. of course, it's like anything else. You have to use it with a grain of salt and some reasoning, and it's never going to replace a doctor, a lawyer, any professional service, but it can make you more informed. And we've definitely, I would say, gained a lot more knowledge, power, and comfort in knowing that and having that available to us. So that's kind of an exciting new thing where AI is integrating more and more into our life. Um, so yeah, all in all, things positive there. And then on the work front, it's been an exciting time. There's some proposals out there. Got early indication on one our biggest project yet that looks like we're going to get it. The kickoff's probably delayed out a month or two, which is totally fine. We've got a lot of other stuff in the works, but pretty exciting to have that. It's in an area of passion for me in the hydrogen space, and it's doing kind of expert consulting for a company that's looking to expand and grow and build out some more hydrogen related infrastructure, which is an alternative energy source that allows for lower carbon footprint of different energy users, like heavy industrial transportation, over the road trucking, things like that. So all in all, excited in exciting times, positive times, super grateful, tons of support and outreach, and let everybody know that we're feeling that. And yeah, just enjoying this beautiful. We're in full spring swing right now, so it's nice weather and enjoying that. So yeah, things are up and up, and yeah, looking forward to it. So how about
That
you? What's up? The big updates on your side?
Dude, I mean, before we get into my side of things, I'm so happy, and you and I have been texting just around the health stuff around Mary, and then for the audience, you guys probably know very well now that beyond just what we're doing for our respective businesses, one of the core things that is most important to us is our health, um, and being there for others when they're going through trying times. So I even love that one kind of perspective that you had a couple of weeks back on you and Mary have been through so much already, whether it's um, taking care of your kids, other life's challenges and tests, that you guys feel so ready for whatever this is going to take for you guys to overcome this challenge. So yeah, we never want to see any health issues, but this is only going to make you guys stronger. And for whatever else challenge there is in the horizon, there certainly will be. That's just how life is. You guys are only going to be even more well equipped at that point to take on whatever challenge that is. I'm just so happy that there's a glimmer of hope. There's for some more optimistic news, and we'll certainly keep our spirits up and send prayers and thoughts all day long for you and the whole family, man. That's awesome news. Um, on my end, on the personal side, um, so more on the health side of things, I'm 6 months out now from the New York City Marathon. And so my training has officially begun. Anything before this was more just kind of getting my base and my foundation ready. It was unfortunate that I had to take 4 weeks off due to the eye surgery, but look, it's amazing how timing works out. I'm a faith based person. I'm positive that God had this all lined up for me, but when I got the green light to start exercising again, that pretty much aligned with the first week of legit kind of full on marathon training. So I'm a couple weeks into that right now. Um, and it's been so much fun just to have a goal in mind, a daily, weekly, and of course a 6 month goal in mind. And of course, having my accountability partners that are also running the race with me. It's just an awesome time right now for sure, especially with the weather. Although it's been kind of rainy, although I kind of enjoy running in the rain, it definitely builds me up a little bit. But yeah, it's been super awesome to have running back in my life and really training for something as well. Um, Man, outside of that, I can't go on any longer through this podcast without mentioning my Knicks. For those that don't know, I am a huge, huge Knicks fan. All of my friends are Knicks fans, and so it's been decades. I think it's been 25 years since we've gotten into the Eastern Conference Finals, and we're now 2 wins away from entering the
Wow.
conference finals. So it's been a long time coming for us to have a team to cheer for. So every other night usually, or every 3 nights, there's a big game that gives me reason to completely disconnect from work. Like, that's my time, I deserve it. And it's been so much fun. The last couple of games have been historic. I could probably spend an insane amount of time just talking about it, but they are 2-0, 2 wins away from the Eastern Conference Final. Game 3 tomorrow. I am absolutely thrilled and excited for the game tomorrow and for my Knicks. Um, yeah, so on the professional side, on the business front, so much going on, so many exciting things. Let me break it out the way that you break things out, right? We've got sales, marketing, and biz ops. I love how you categorize that. It really compartmentalizes where I want to focus my energy. On the sales side of things, nearly at the finish line with 2 potential new clients. One in the aircraft maintenance space, which is a new
Wow.
industry for me, but it's
Yes.
still B2B services, which is right up my alley. And then the other being Otter Health, who is um, a mental health services provider. So 2 really great companies that I'm hoping to land very, very soon. And it just comes at a timely moment in my business now that I have a 1099 worker. Um, this is just a perfect kind of storm of having the deals and having the talent to really help scale my business in its next phase. So really exciting developments there. Outside of that, um, thinking a little into the future as I look to hire even more talent. I want to figure out if there are some external companies and supporters that can help with the lead generation. So I'm starting to talk to a couple of agencies just to see what the price point would look like, what the partnership would look like, because I think the velocity in which I can get deals will get capped out at a certain point as I'm just kind of really utilizing word of mouth, organic, social, things of that nature. I want to see if there's a way that I can scale in a faster way, but not in a crazy fast way, if that makes any sense. Like, I want to do it responsibly. I want to create the right problems to solve for, but not create such an influx of deals that I start hiring the wrong people and things of that nature. So lots going on outside of just doing client work. It really feels like I'm starting to build something. There's like some goals that I have in mind as well. I just met with my accountant earlier today just to talk about some tax planning now that we're kind of broaching a different revenue bracket. There's certain things that I need to be mindful of. So yeah, it's been a lot of planning, a lot of execution, and again, harping back to one of our episodes titled "Creating a Job versus Building a Business." It really feels like I've been spending a lot of focus and energy on the latter. And that has given me energy back, which is always a good sign that what you're doing is something that you're passionate about and that you'll wake up on a weekend to do.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. That's so exciting on all fronts. I think it's awesome to highlight having something outside of work that you're so passionate about with the Knicks. And everybody has those areas that are non intensive, maybe not super drawdown on your brain and energy levels, but something that you can do to decompress, disconnect, and that gives you energy in a different way. And that is so necessary to keeping the overall mental and physical health going as you're kind of taxing your system and pushing the boundaries and the limits, both mentally and physically, with preparing for your marathon as well as growing a business, which is no easy task as well. And then you've also got relationships, both family, spouse, all of these things. So it's nice to have something that you're so passionate about, and I can feel that coming through. So you've got another Knicks fan rooting as we head into this critical moment here for them. So
Yes.
that's exciting, and I feel like I can also there's like a little piece of me almost that flashed back to like a Nintendo 64 game with I forget what it was called, NBA 2K or something like that, and having the like NBA jams and all that,
Yeah,
and
NBA
the
Jam.
Nick that was like probably just after the Knicks were actually like probably in the playoffs and were they were like one of the top teams at that point, and some of those players like kind of come to my mind a little bit. So it's like a little nice nostalgia there. So I'm excited. That's awesome.
Oh my gosh, you're so right. NBA Jam. It was like I could be totally wrong, but when the Knicks were really relevant, it was like 97,
Yeah.
98, 99, around
Yeah,
that
yeah.
time.
Yep.
Yep. Oh man, I vividly remember like what I was doing watching the Knicks play like the Pacers and the Heat. Like
Oh, yeah.
I was like 10, 9, 8, 9, 10 years old, but I still remember like it was yesterday, how excited I was. And I definitely feel that same like that burn right now. Like, oh my gosh, am I getting too invested? I don't want to get I don't want to get let down again, but man, it's so exciting right now.
Yeah, it's fun to have that to invest in and just like you said, disconnect and connect on that and be away from everything else and have that escape. So that's
Right.
awesome.
For your more recent like projects, are you doing a lot of traveling to actually see these like equipments and whatnot? I'm not like I don't really know too much in detail about your industry, but does it require you to actually make on-site visits, at least at the onset or prior to
Uh,
the contract getting signed?
it's such a mix. That's one of the unique pieces about engineering, I would say in general, outside, especially like mechanical, chemical, and in the industries that I work in, more around like the process and manufacturing of how things get actually made. There's like so many aspects that you can have. There's people who just sit there and day to day are like in the operations called operations engineering, and there's lots of different titles, but they're literally out there working hand in hand with the mechanics and different tradespeople to work on this stuff and get it running and optimized and all kinds of different things. So there's like day to day, which isn't me. Then in my role, there's consulting where I may at times go out and see things and collect information and have on site meetings because there's benefit and value add there. But then there's also a lot of the work, the vast majority of it, like 85 plus percent of the work hours on an hours or time basis is done remotely. And that's gotten more prevalent now with technology and Zoom meetings and all these things or virtual meetings. And but yes, I have had some travel. I have been fortunate enough to go up and do some on-site meetings and detailed design reviews with a client up in Boston, which was really exciting experience. They were really happy with how everything turned out, and we were able to deliver a bunch of value and just a really great collaborative relationship there. And then on the other hand, I have other work that I'm working on that is based in Texas, and I'll probably never ever actually see it. And that is one of the harder parts about being a consulting engineer, where especially when you're first out of school and you have a lot of textbook knowledge, not a lot of hands-on knowledge, if you go right into kind of this consulting or engineering services area where you're kind of in a desk at a desk working on something on the computer a lot, you might not get that feedback and experience of seeing things in the field, which makes it challenging. I've been fortunate enough, I've kind of seen it from all angles and been in person and touched and worked with different tradespeople to actually see this stuff get built in the shops. It's really exciting and fun. And now I'm able to kind of leverage that knowledge base to help me do a bunch of other work that I can just do remotely. So it's a nice mix. And I think going forward, it'll probably stay around that same mix. There are other people, even people that I partner with who are also consulting engineers, but they travel 50, 60, 70, 80% of their time. If you looked at it on like a weeks out of the year basis, they might be gone 20, 30 weeks of the year. And they're actually on site helping people get things done and really observing and everything like that. But that's not, I like to get out and do that periodically, but I don't necessarily have never really wanted to live out on the road per se. And so it's been a really nice balance. Feel really fortunate to have had the experience that I did have out in the field when I was younger and then now be able to pull that back in and help others train younger engineers at some of my clients' offices and things like that.
Man, like I think when people are solopreneur consultants, they sometimes lack that face-to-face interaction. So the fact that you have a balanced um, situation where you do go meet prospective clients or existing clients on site, that face-to-face kind of meeting, like there's a lot of power to that still, right? I think remote work has its superpowers as well. But I found myself certainly in the beginning really being alone in managing and kind of building things up. And now I try to make it as much of an effort as possible, if it all makes sense for me to go out and see a client, or um, if it is an agency through whom I'm getting deals, and I'll try to go into their office, say hello to some people, set up some meetings. So I think not being too extreme on either spectrum is a good balance in and of itself. Like that's still something that I think we all should try to do, is have some face-to-face time with clients, potential clients, or even just people that you want to network with. Like that's I think a good way to kind of break from the monotony of the day. And then the other thing um, that I was thinking is that the aspect of bookkeeping and like tracking miles and all of the T&E that goes into
Mm.
traveling, man, it's got to be so different from one consultant to another. Because for myself, my bookkeeping is literally an Excel spreadsheet. Even that is like more than enough, right? Like my bank statements are basically like my bookkeeping in a way. But for you, where like or other consultants who might be traveling even more, man, I think like similar to how you're now. I don't know if you've onboarded that executive assistant or that virtual assistant yet, but having someone like that, and even a system or just a software that automates some things for you, like that has to be like a non-negotiable. Like that must take up so much of your time if you are traveling so much.
Yeah, oh, 100%. And that's actually a thing that I was thinking about earlier today. It's interesting that you brought it up and serendipitous, actually, because for managing what would be kind of termed professional services, so that would be others that are similar categories that have to do kind of similar things, are lawyers, attorneys, in some cases like CPAs, things of that nature, where you actually have to track your time spent, and they're paying, your client is paying you based on each hour, or for in a lot of cases like fractions of an hour down to a quarter of an hour, maybe even lower at times. You have to be able to have a system that can track at that accuracy as well and that precision. And then if you layer on top of that additional, whether it's like subcontractor expenses, software expenses, travel expenses, and how you manage all that, and then get it into a format that can then be put into an invoice. And then, of course, every customer and client has their own preference on their accounts payable and receivable. And there's probably PO and invoicing instructions and requirements where, like, they won't pay you until you get your invoice the way that they want it. And so having a software when you start out, and there, it's amazing because there are free options out there that can do all of this. And it really is almost a non-negotiable. If you're going to be in the professional services, you need to track your time on a very specific basis and on a per project basis. I have, yeah, there's the level of time tracking that I have to do just for the project delivery work that I do now would not be possible in, it would be possible, but it would be so time consuming in a spreadsheet or anything else. The software just simplifies that so much. And the other neat part about it is, if you start that from the beginning, you automatically start generating and storing data about your entire work process, from essentially when you get awarded a project or you start a client engagement, you could say, all the way through to the end. you get to see all that data, and then you start rolling multiple of those together, and then it has a built-in dashboard, so I can see revenue trends, profit margin trends, all of that over time. And that's just me, myself, and Mary also is in the system, but really most of it is just me. So I'm able to trend all that and see it for since really the beginning of this year. And now we're 5 months in, so I'm able to start seeing some trend lines. Okay, we need to start filling up the pipeline a little bit more to get. We want to boost the revenue numbers. How's our profit margin look compared to benchmarking? And all of that is really, really useful, especially for those who are looking to go into some type of a service slash project based environment for their work.
I think that data cannot be um, overstated enough. Like, as I was making my shift over to hourly based pricing to value based pricing, one of the first things that I did was look at all of the data that I had around the time that I tracked for all of my clients. Um, and it really helped. Of course, there's other factors that contributed to the ultimate price um, that I put against the three tiers of products that I'm selling. But it all mostly came from the number of hours that I needed to provide to not only create, do all the auditing and strategy creation at the upfront of the engagement, but to send enough work month to month to see the impact and the performance that kept those clients happy. And then, of course, there was other things like the size of the website, what they were selling, what they were providing, the overall kind of uh, target opportunity for that industry. So there's other factors for sure, but that data that I had, the time tracking that I did against each action, whether it was a meeting, a deliverable, data reporting, whatever it was so instrumental. So I know time tracking is probably the bane of a lot of consultants' existence, but there is something even greater beyond just the potential bad conversation of, hey, so and so, can you show me how much time you worked on our account in the last month? Hopefully, that conversation never comes up unless it's something you need to put into an invoice. But man, there's a lot of utility from a business growth perspective, and every year you should be revising your pricing and updating your products. So that type of data really comes in handy.
Oh yeah, big time. Yeah, and again, for those of you that are out there, if you specifically want to talk more about my setup or system, I can get you up to speed and running really quick in Rudder.io. It's Rudder without the E and then .io. And you can reach out to me personally on my Instagram at Shane Chalupa. And it is, yeah, super powerful. I'm really grateful that I found, after having seen, worked with, input time into all types of different systems and softwares, everything from the most archaic early systems at the big Fortune 500 companies because their database and all of that was so old that it would have been a huge thing to change it over. And it takes them decades just to move all that data and rework their systems into something new. Like the most archaic thing to intermediate ones that were decent but had drawbacks to the one that I just happened to land on first out of the gate when I started the business. And it has been exceptional in every way. And it's free for your first three team members. So your team can be three or less and it's free. So full functionality. It's amazing. I'm super happy with it. And um, it's very easy to use. And I think that's another key piece of software. And when you're building your business, when to use software versus something like a Google Sheet or a Google Doc, and like where does that transition happen? And for me in professional services, I've always seen that because you need to have a lot of granularity, both for tracking purposes, and then you want to have it, like you were saying, historically to look back upon and reference easily and then trend it. Starting out with something out of the box that's easy to use makes a lot of sense. And there are other areas where, simple Google Doc or Google Sheet might make sense for action item tracking or something really basic if it's just you by yourself. But there's definitely some areas where software will help you and make your life a lot easier and reduce the amount of time that you have to invest for sure.
Yeah, I would definitely take Shane up on that offer. And don't think that you're too late, right? I was on the side of the fence of doing everything in Google Sheets when I was starting out because my vision was I'm just going to be a one man shop, not hiring anyone else. I'm good with Google Sheets. I can, if it's a system and a process that only involves me, then I don't have to make it, you know, workable or digestible to anybody else besides me. Um, but now I'm at a point where, man, if I knew I was going to bring on some help, I would have done this using so and so software. But it's not too late. Yes, it's taking me a little bit more time now to get it all up and running. Um, but it's not too late. So don't feel that the time has passed. You missed your opportunity. There's always time that you can find, and always a good time to revisit anything that you're doing internally that can be a little bit more automated and a little bit more future facing.
Yeah, definitely. I've just found that building out infrastructure, being a little bit more thoughtful on the front end. Now, you can't let that paralyze you and not make progress and actually doing work, going out, doing your marketing, doing your sales, getting the reps in, and then doing actual project delivery work. You got to make sure you keep it balanced, but there's definitely a sweet spot of looking ahead and picking some infrastructure if you know that you want to go in a certain direction, to think about, like, if I were to go that direction, what infrastructure would I want to make my life a lot easier? And once you build that nucleus, it can then grow with you as you grow, and hopefully there's not a lot of need for changeover and all these heavy investments down the road to try and, when you get to a point where you need to scale, hopefully it'll be a little bit more fluid and work out. But there's definitely, right out of the gate, you got to get moving, you got to get momentum and build the velocity, and then you kind of have some time to think about it. And that's an area where I'm finding that's a draw for me that I'm really passionate about and enjoying with the small business in the services area, project delivery area, technical kind of things, is the infrastructure piece of finding the right parts and pieces that make sense, that minimize cost, that help scale and reduce the amount of headaches and really can just make your life a lot better. That's something that I'm just loving right now. Happy to talk to anybody about it, no matter what phase you're in, because whether you've been doing it for 20 years and keeping it on a notepad and that's the way you've always done it, that's great. If you want to make that switch over, like you said, Sam, it's never too late and you can always make that transition. It's going to be forming new habits. It's going to be a little bit cumbersome and painful at first until you get it ingrained. But once you make that your habit, it just pays dividends.
Look, there's definitely a topic I want to get into, and I can't think of a better moment because it's a great segue where, we're
Yeah.
talking about, making changes to, I guess, in a way, optimize your business and your business operations. Now, will you be, you know, a failing business by not implementing these? Probably not. There are things that you must do, but a lot of these things just makes your business run at a better clip, um, less mental calories for you to maintain certain things that might be on a more manual basis. But juxtaposed to that, I think there are certain changes that might happen in your industry, whether you are in engineering, whether you are in marketing or SEO, or any changes that are applying to all industries, aka AI. There are so many changes that I think can leave businesses behind, can be destructive if a business owner or the right stakeholder is not staying relevant. Like, I want us to think about that phrase of staying relevant during rapid change. obviously AI is like the hot topic around any business, any industry right now, but there's also other rapidly changing elements in more industry specific things. Um, so I'll put you on the spot, Shane. I know you're very AI first in so many different utilities and applications, right? For your business, but also for services that you provide. Um, let's just start the conversation around just staying relevant during this time. It's scary. It can be fearful. It can be energizing to some. Um, I mean, these are two guys in here that are crazy energized by this stuff. But there's people out there that are just completely overwhelmed and not knowing what to do. So yeah, we could stay on the topic of AI, but it could be anything around just rapid change and how you, as part owner with Mary and on Obnovit, how you guys stay relevant.
Yeah, no, this is a great topic, and I'm so excited to get into this because the pace of change around everything in our lives, both this discussion applies both personally and professionally. We're going to talk about it from a business perspective, but a lot of these same things are going to happen in your personal life as well, but the rate at which things are changing now is incredibly different than it was just a few years ago. And that can be overwhelming for sure because this is a new revolution that is going to change our lives, and lots of people that are listening out there are going to be able to relate things like your earliest first cell phones, your the Apple iPod, which then transformed into the iPhone. There was at one point, yeah, you have things, these like groundbreaking changes of, if you just think about like a cell phone in general, of where we were early in our like tween years, let's call it the 90s, right? To where we're at today with a supercomputer in our pocket, it's insane. And that is a very small piece, I think, compared to the possibility and potential of AI. And that expansiveness and the unknown of that is very scary. So the way I like to like initially think about it is when I first kind of got switched on with this, I've been dabbling with AI for 2+ years now and kind of like trying to wrap my head around it. And it was very slow. Initially, I was like, oh, it's just a Google search. It's a new type of Google kind of equivalent search. And oh, it's not that good. It doesn't really do what I need it to do. Okay, yeah, I was there. I can relate. And I was also to the point of like, I have no idea how I would apply this. But the way I like to think about it is this: AI will be as or more impactful than the most major revolutions in history, meaning electricity for leading into the Industrial Revolution, and on par of those things, if not more impactful to humankind than the advent of electricity. And the reason why is because of the pervasiveness. It is going to come into every aspect of our life and change how we actually behave and live our lives in a way, but it's going to be for mostly for positive. Of course, everything always has drawbacks, no matter what it is. Any change is going to have a pro and a con, or pros and cons. So that's like the big picture of this, of like where we're at. We're at the very earliest days of just discovering and integrating this. So that in and of itself makes it feel overwhelming. So now, like, how do we kind of dial that back to like, how can I interact with it? How can I stay relevant? And that was something that I would say over the last 12 months, we've been really thinking about heavily. And then I would say in January of this year, when we started the business, it was like, okay, we talked to some people who were already a little bit further ahead than us, and we were in some meetings and things of like, okay, how can we start using this to be an enabler? And really, what it came down to is researching and finding out what it is you do with your specific business or things that you want to do in your specific life. And then now we have to start thinking about, instead of what we would have traditionally done, you want to go find a restaurant for dinner in New York City on Thursday night, go to Google, you research, you look through the reviews. Okay, that was the old way. The new way is now you go to your preferred LLM, like a ChatGPT or a Claude, and you or Perplexity, and you say, okay, here's my criteria, here's my preferences, here's how many people, all this, and now it will actually encapsulate all that and do all that research for you, pop back with a few, however many choices you tell it to give you. And so it's a real transformation in the way that we think about things and how we interact on a day to day and how we utilize the technology. So to stay relevant in that, I would say it's one, trying to overcome that fear and to start learning more about it, because the more you learn about it, the less you're going to fear it because you're going to understand it. Typically, fear comes from something that's in the future that you don't understand or that may or may not happen. And you're having anxiety about it in the present because you can't predict what's going to happen in the future. Well, what you can do is start learning more about it, and that disarms it. The more you know, it's going to feel a lot more digestible, and then you'll be definitely disarming those fears and understanding how you can integrate. All right. So, how does somebody go about doing that? Well, there's lots of different ways. Ironically, you could actually ask ChatGPT or one of the LLMs to tell you more about it as if you were a 10-year-old or a very simplified version. Whatever format you want, it will create it. So that's one. Two is there's tons of free courses and content out there, whether it's YouTube, finding out people who are on YouTube creating the videos, going to their pages, following them. They have a lot of free master classes and sessions, and there's so much content available right now. You can do that, as well as maybe in your industry, or if there are groups, a lot of these industry groups and people that are doing the same thing that your business is doing, they're all interested in learning about it too. So I'm seeing a lot of presentations, webinars, lunch and learns about AI in this sector. So I think that's just a starting point to get your legs under you. And then from there, it's going to jump into, okay, is there a course that fits my specific niche and needs, or is a little more general that I could tailor to my niche and my industry and what I'm doing? And then can I go into that for something that's, say, a master class that's successive sessions? Is it weekly training? Like, there, all of that exists out there today. And I would say that framework of like a coaching framework, a program that you're investing in and training on it, is going to be another way to stay relevant and upskill. So that way your business is going to be on par or above average as you're navigating this change. That's really like a point where I'm at right now with it. And then we'll get into some more, I can get into more details around specifics of that. But I would say, yes, it's going to feel overwhelming. It's hard to even, like, I can't even imagine the impact and what this will look like just a few years from now, but it is going to be momentous, and that can definitely be fearful. Think about the first time humankind had fire, was able to utilize fire, electricity, flying in an airplane. Like imagine the early days of flying in an airplane. Like, that had to be wildly scary and fearful. So everything that's new is going to be scary at first, but I think the more you can learn about it right out of the gate, start setting some foundational knowledge, trial using it, and then really leveraging people in your network who might be a little bit ahead of you on it, or who have the knowledge and are injecting it, start getting in those discussions. That's really going to help uplift you, build confidence. And then once you have that confidence and kind of a broad, like a foundational understanding, you can jump off from there. So I'll leave it at that, and then we can go to a deeper level in a little bit here. But I want to turn it back to you and kind of get your thoughts on it around the fear aspect of something new, and then how you feel kind of going from the, I like to equate it to the baby analogy, where it's like the baby is laying there on its back, it can't even roll over, then it starts to roll over, then it crawls, then it starts to stand, it can barely stand, then it can walk, then it can run. How do you feel about all that and navigating it as a small business owner and also on your personal side?
Yeah, I'll go more into like the business side of things. So a lot of the stuff that you've said it resonates with me, right? Talking to other people in the industry, attending webinars, basically professional development in the context of AI. So that has, and I love the way that you phrased it, that has disarmed that fear. It puts actionable steps literally on your calendar, like this is when the webinar starts. That 30 minutes or an hour helps you wrap your head a little bit more around how all of this works and how I can apply it to the key problems or the challenges and the areas that you think AI would make things a little bit more efficient. So yeah, I can't stress enough all the things that you've said. Um, as far as I think there's a slight nuance to the fear that I felt with AI. I think there's been at the inception of like ChatGPT. I think it was right when Chat started um, pulling in search data from Bing. That's when I first felt the first like real wave of fear and almost an existential crisis for my business. And now, as I'm saying this, I realize how stupid it sounds, but that's just how human nature is. When something puts your line of work in, you know, threat. There's a threat to what you provide. Your immediate response is one of a defensive kind of reaction, right? And honestly, and I kid you not, I was thinking about other careers. Like, what else could I get into? Maybe something that is something I can create with my hands that can't be replaced by OpenAI. Like, I really had those thoughts. And truth be told, I still have those thoughts. Like, it's not ever going to leave my mind. Um, but that's when I first had my real, like, first bout with fear related to AI and existential crisis related to AI. Um, for all the obvious reasons, right? People are just using ChatGPT now. Although the market share in the search ecosystem is still, the lion's share is still pointing to Google. The fact that, and just as a quick aside, the fact that Google is releasing and has released their AI overviews, now they've released their AI mode to everyone that has not uh, subscribe to that feature just shows how much they're taking this kind of AI battle seriously. So OpenAI is just getting started. So in fact, if there's people out there that are not fearing or are not fearful right now, let me just add that in there that you should be scared, right? To a certain degree, but let that spur action, not inaction. Um, and so, yeah, let me take you back. I was feeling this fear, this existential crisis, thinking about going into a different career. But then I started to do all the things that you said, right? I was talking to other people in the industry. I was reading all the studies that were coming out. I was attending webinars. And then at a certain point, I wasn't learning new things. And so, what I would recommend on top of everything you said was um, as simple as time blocking. I started putting aside a certain number of hours every single week to do my own research, not reading what other people were saying, but like really reading about how ChatGPT goes through data, how its modeling works, where it sources the data. Is it trained behavior or is it actual web data? So, really understanding how they retrieve, how they ground information. And that started disarming that fear and that existential crisis because I realized that this is not a threat to my business. This is just the next phase of my business. This is another search ecosystem that I can help businesses navigate from a marketing perspective. And it sounds, hindsight is always 2020. But at that time, that vision was so unclear to me until I took those steps that we have outlined thus far. So I can't stress enough. This might not, all the things that Shane and I have said thus far, it might not sound earth shattering. In fact, it's not earth shattering. This is just basic, like professional development. Of course, it requires some motivation, it requires some investment of time and energy, but it is, I think, really the only way for us to harness the powers of AI, for not only your business but for my business. It's a little different, right? My services are is changing. Um, the other thing that has been a more recent development that now, doesn't necessarily disarm the fear, because I don't have a fear of this. It's more just really understanding what I can provide in terms of services for my clients. I think if there's any SEO consultants out there, or even any digital marketing consultants, or anyone that's providing services that are like directly tied to I am almost certain that your clients are already thinking about this. How can I, as a business, harness this? And where in my business do I need to get better with leveraging AI? I took a bit of an initiative and reached out to one of my clients recently. They are very keen on becoming more visible in the models. And we're in a very kind of gray area in time right now as far as what really helps a business's visibility in ChatGPT. There are certain things that are confirmed, but largely everything is a bit of a guessing game, trial and error, without even software to really monitor the success and or failure of the tactics that you're testing out. So it's very much like, I'll go all the way to say that if any SEO agency out there right now is saying, I know how to get your business more visible in the models, that's completely BS, because no one really knows how to do that right now. We're all wrapping our head around it. The tech industry, the legacy tech platforms are all trying to understand how to monitor your visibility. I've been talking to all of the uh, model visibility startups, like in Europe, in the States. I've been talking to as many people as possible because I took this initiative with this client to say, hey, I don't have all the answers right now, but I want to test some things out together. I want to bring in the right tools to measure the performance of anything that we test out. But look, anything that we do right now is just a test, purely a test, and something that we can educate ourselves from. So that initiative, I think, is going to be another avenue through which I really understand how to do a specific thing with AI. And in this case, it's increasing the visibility of a business. So don't feel scared to reach out if you have clients right now, regardless of what industry you're in. I mean, I guess it somewhat depends, but don't be afraid to reach out and say, hey, I don't have all the answers right now. Nobody has all the answers. It's going to take years for anyone to really understand how to leverage this in the best possible way for your business or for your industry. Just take that first step and say, hey, let's come together. Let's put some problem statements together, some dependencies and some requirements, and let's try to tackle this as a group together. And I think that goes a long way from a client service perspective, and also just from an educational and professional development perspective.
Oh yeah, big time. And the thing about it is, we're still so early on that nobody that's out there offering this can really be qualified as having all the answers, like you said, because a lot of for your field and a lot of fields, the data, the software just doesn't exist to understand the patterns and how it works, and the things that are guaranteed to work versus things that are unknowns at this point. And so it's very early on. And I think taking that approach of like a collaborative, you're almost like a tour guide, really, and especially in your service, because you're telling them, hey, I'm here to take you on this journey, and and I want to make sure that you get to this destination and this outcome. And you're going to be there every step of the way with them, telling them what's going on, this is what's happening here as it's coming up in real time. And you're not just selling SEO or LLM, AI, whatever they're calling it now, AI SEO, right? Or model SEO. You're taking them on a journey, and you know the way to navigate this particular journey given your background and expertise, and the right people to call and the right people to talk to and have the right conversations. You're not just selling them results, because at this point, nobody can just sell you the results because they don't know how to get them repeatably. And so you have to kind of shift your thinking of, I'm not just selling a product or a service anymore. I'm selling people a journey, somebody that I will be there with them. I know the right questions to ask. I'm informed about it. I'm interested and energized by it. So now let's come together and go on this journey together, and let me be kind of that tour guide, that person who's going to take you along the way, show you the way to go, and we'll figure this out. But you're going to lead them on that journey. And so it becomes not so much more about the results of what you're getting and where you're ranking and all of that. That's always going to be important for the base business. But where we're going now is, you have to be that person that's going to come in and say, look, I'm ahead on this, and I also know the right people, the right things, and the right research to do to help us navigate this together and help you get where you want to go.
Yeah, I think proactivity is the word that comes to mind. Like, and sometimes proactivity can be scary because, especially in the context of this, where you're saying that you're going to do something, but you're not even sure like where to start after you say that. But that's okay. I think the beauty of this right now is that we're such like right at the start line of AI that nobody knows all of the answers yet. But just take that approach. Just be proactive and say, I don't know anything. I don't know everything, but I am staying as close to this as possible. And I'd love to, use our business as a case study to pursue something. So I know we're getting kind of very specific around just kind of the search nature of this, but there's so many other uh, applications of this approach, right? Even if it is just for your personal life, your professional kind of internal business operations, like do yourself a favor and tell yourself, hey, I want to take us and my business on this journey, and let me do my best because it will help out the operations of my business. It will help out, I don't know, training for a marathon. Um, FYI, I have asked ChatGPT to put a marathon plan together. Look, it's human nature. I can't trust it fully yet because I'm not sure like the data flow between how I feel and how the model is going to kind of adjust things. That was a bit of a blocker for me. But hey, those are the types of things that you can start thinking about and put the onus on yourself. It doesn't have to be in a business setting. There's so many ways that you can leverage or utilize things in your personal life to really develop a professional or like develop another side of your brain and a new skill along that journey. And who knows what that can lead to. It might be a new business idea. It might be another job opportunity. So don't get in your own way. Try to disarm the fear of the change that is happening right now. With all of the steps that Shane lined out and the few that I communicated as well, and just kind of roll with the punches and be excited about the journey because it is exciting once you're really in it.
Oh yeah, 100%. There's so much opportunity. That's the other thing that can help balance out the fear in the initial part, is once you see a little bit past that, you start to see the unlimited opportunities. And for everybody out there, I really want to say, please reach out to Sam on Instagram at Sam Lee underscore key rise. He is going to be your guide, your expert in navigating this. Now, that's not to say anybody's the expert in the area specific of AI, but you're an expert at navigating this new and really uncharted territory for people. So in the SEO, the digital marketing space, yes, please reach out to Sam, that let him help you navigate this. And the other piece why I wanted to say that is because if you're feeling overwhelmed, you're feeling fearful about it, all these things, how is it going to impact my business, my personal life, all these things, don't hesitate to reach out. Start those conversations. Like, that's where amazing things will happen. And there are people who are interested, particularly Sam and I, in our areas, our fields, our niches. Like, we are interested in this. We are going AI first with a lot of stuff. So like, reach out. We'd love to talk about it, help refine it, see where use cases are for you in your specific business or in your personal life. 100%. So don't hesitate to reach out, and we'll be glad to share, some general information, knowledge bases, things that you can go to just get you started for sure.
Absolutely. Look, I love that this podcast started with just the kind of mass adoption of chat, and it's only going to be so much more interesting as we bring to the table like new learnings. I know it's been a lot of like conceptual conversation, um, but we certainly are working on things, whether it's like I said, like internal business operations or actual service offerings. So any kind of wins and case studies, we'll definitely do some screen shares and show some results, talk more kind of in tangible ways on how we're leveraging things. Again, we're just at the beginning, as far as business owners adopting this is concerned. So I think we've done a pretty good job of setting the foundation of like we are early learners and continuous ones at that. And you know, this is the benchmark. And as we go forward, I think we'll have certainly some really fun things to share that actually make sense beyond just a concept, but an actual case study that we can show to the audience.
Yeah, 100%. That's where I'm really focusing my attention now, because there was this part of, okay, I know that AI is going to transform life in general, especially for business. How do we start integrating that to be our first layer of where we go to when we have something come up in the business? And then also, how does our business put out products and services that are also related to being AI first? And that led me to like, okay, how do you actually do this? Because there's so much information out there. People are talking a lot about AI agents and automating all this stuff. And I think I was a little bit overwhelmed and wanted to say like, okay, how do we boil this down to the basics, and how do we learn to first crawl, then walk, then run, then start sprinting? And so you really have to go in a sequential progression there in order to get the ultimate value and understanding of something that's going to be fully hands-off automated. And so starting at the ground level, and so now I'm a part of a course where um, we're going through those foundational elements and building up layer on layer, so that way we have that understanding of how to actually apply it practically and integrate it into our business to save time, be more efficient, be more effective, have more reach, all of these things. And so that those are things that I'm looking forward to sharing as we go on this journey, as I'm learning through this program and course that I'm in, and how it's going to apply to my niche in the engineering and technical services and consulting area, as well as learning about how it's going to impact you in your niche as well. So
Awesome, man. Well, look, I know we're at time. I don't think there is a better place that we can end this conversation today. Truly excited about what more we can share around the AI front. But of course, our businesses are doing well. We're positive about a lot of the outlooks from a health perspective. So yeah, Shane, thanks for all the updates today. Hope everyone found some value in our conversation. And thanks for tuning in. And yeah, we'll catch you on the next one.
yeah, thanks for tuning in, and catch you on the next episode.
Bye.
Bye.